I was making a video and I realized after 5 minutes of videoing that I only recorded 1 minute and 26 seconds, so I just repeated. I have to repeat everything. Here's the best junk starter that I had. I took this one apart and it came off of, maybe out of a junkyard. And look at that solenoid. Somebody cut this wire, which means that this came out of a junk vehicle that was being scrapped, and they saved the starter as a core to send into the junkyard. So look at this. These brushes are the extra thick ones. They're 20, 30, 40% thicker than those ones. They're wider or more contact area. So those are the proper diesel brushes. And of all these starters, here's the one that came off of the Blazer. Nope. These are the thickest ones. Wow. So I've got a genuine diesel starter, or at least the brushes on a diesel armature, or a field coil rather. And I've got this drive here that, listen to this. It sounds kind of ratchety. I can feel it more than you can hear it, but it's really resistive to turning, which is a good thing. But this one is also resistive, but it's smoother. And this one here is junk. Just spins freely, so this will make the engine crank once or twice, spin, and then disengage, as it just can't hold the compression of any engine. So unless you take out the spark plugs. And here's the one that came off of the Blazer, which is not too bad, but it's starting to wear. It's just called the drive or the armature or the Bendix. Not the armature, the drive or the Bendix. So there's also the issue of the bushing, and there's also the issue of these slip rings here. I can polish those up with a piece of sandpaper. I can take off this drive. You take off this ring, and there's a springy ringy under here. It's really a chore to install it and snap it back into this ring. This holds it in place, blah, blah, blah. I'll check to make sure I don't have a Taiwan shift fork. I'll find my best housing with the tightest bushing, because I don't want to put in a bushing that I don't have to. I've got a few in my pile there, but the 6.2 takes a special, slightly larger bushing than the gas engine 350s, and I don't know, the 6 liters and 5.3s. So I've got a bunch of parts here. I've got, oh yeah, I told you this in the previous video that didn't record. So this is the cap of the solenoid. See that? Recognize that from changing a starter? This cap comes off if you take off the right combination of screws. And that bolt comes right off the battery. There's your 12 volts. That's hooked up to the juice all the time. And look at that. It was only contacting in this very, very small area. It's supposed to contact on a wider area. Some people turn this around, but actually they're made not to be turned around, but you can. But look at that. That tiny contact area, that's all the power that was getting through to the starter, not nearly enough. So this is probably what caused the brushes to burn up right there, because it wasn't getting enough juice, so it just got hot and melted that brush as it was spinning. It was starting great up until a couple of years ago. It just got slower and slower, like they say it was dragging. So I'm going to find another cap with a better contact bolt. What happens is when you turn the key, the ignition key sends power by that S maybe to here, and the magnetic coil jumps up and it contacts the starter bolt over here, the battery bolt rather. It sends the juice on this ring, and look how pitted that is from not making proper contact with that bolt. Sends the juice across to the other side of the solenoid, and this one goes to the starter right there, like that. And that's how the juice gets from the battery across the solenoid, and it also jumps the shift fork, which engages the drive, the Bendix, turns the flywheel. Oop, look at that. Huh, the ring is missing here. There's supposed to be a really hard to remove ring underneath here, and it was never in place. Just shows you don't really need it, because this is only supposed to go out to about 40 or 50 thousandths away from that ring. So look at that. That ring was missing. It's supposed to go, this goes on first, this one. Maybe that ring broke. Huh, never had that before. This in one hand. This should slide on smoothly. That ring is probably on the shaft. It's just mangled. But there's supposed to be a ring that stops the solenoid or the Bendix from going too far, and obviously something has failed there. But I'll fix this up, and I'll find a shift fork. You can reverse this. It's not too worn, because you have to have the right throw here to engage your flywheel to get good tooth engagement. And there's a specification. I think it's 30 thousandths close to the ring, distance from that ring, that snap ring, lock ring, to about 120, which is 1/8 of an inch. It's supposed to be somewhere here to there. It's pretty sloppy. GM doesn't make things to the closest tolerances, but these, I've seen these starters go 100, 150,000 miles, and mine went 10,000 miles. So much for my skill at rebuilding things. But I've got a lot of parts here. So luckily I know how it all goes back together. I'll figure it out. I can't use one hand. I crunched my thumb yesterday. You can't see it, but I'll show you the glove later on. It's over there. Dropped a tire on my tire machine. I got to get a new tire machine. I got to fix my radiator. I got to get that Blazer K5 so I can deliver it to the guy that bought it in Vermont. Maybe he's watching the videos. I didn't forget about you, but I'm here working to get my plow truck running because I need to have my plow truck. I need to get the vehicle delivered as promised. I need to get my apartment done so I can move in and split up with Miss Hip Chick. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get to work.